Salam Tana you're still in. We got cut off, so we're gonna do a part 2. And this may go on for I don't know how long. This may go on about the God particle. There's really so much in the God particle. You understand? There's so much in the God particle. And I'm say again, I'm say again, thank you very much to Windham Yadam. Beruku, brethren. You know, oh, thank you, ahoy, abatachin. Right? Now, the interesting thing is about the whole God particle thing is we wanted to basically, if we could show a demonstration of there's a picture that Kedamawi, His Majesty has, right? And what we'll go put in here is we don't want to. For some reason, when you put in Kedamawi Haile Selassie's name, they try to put in lowercase. If you notice that, which I don't really like, but you know they just do all these little signs of what they're about, basically. So anyway, we can ignore all that because they ain't stopping the God particle, right? So, anyways, we go down. What we want to do is there's a picture His Majesty took. Okay, and there's a picture that His Majesty had taken a long time ago. Which the picture I said I was looking at, I was really dwelling at the picture, and I looked at it, and it's this picture right here. It's this picture right here. Okay, and if you look at His Majesty, it looks as though you can get the whole Mita Kebel out of that with the word Mita, which is Spanish Mita. And the interesting about Ruhaba, it just goes to show, you know, who the Hebrews are. You know what I'm saying? They find themselves and know that and grab that Ethiopian God particle, the Ethiopian, the nationality, who they are, and come out of the strange nationality, because this is what this is all about. Coming out of strange nationality and becoming an administrator or constituent of the Ethiopian government, a nation, and play your part and do your part as an agriculture. You understand? As we sow the harvest is ready, but the laborers, as they say, are few. So you understand? You need to play your part in reaping the harvest, or you will be part of the grapes. You understand? Which will be trampled, or those which will be trampled. Now, you know, just like they say, there's two parts of the water. There's the pouring out of the Spirit upon those who accept in spirit and truth, and then there's the poured out of the wrath of the indignation. You say you seen the Yesus Yehoshua HaMashiach, and he looked mad. You understand? Then, yes, if you look at black people, they don't look very happy. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something going on with their spirituality and their nationality. There's a lot going on with that. Their spirit, their substance is messed up, and therefore their natural substance is also co-opted if they're out of bounds, right? So here we go. Here we have the Kedamawi Haile Selassie right here. Now what he's holding, if you go, this is on Wiki, and I appreciate one brother. I want to send a shout out to Tadai Wadat, or is it Tzedek righteous and beloved, righteousness and beloved. But he said that Tzadi Wada, he had applied to the eye. Is like, oh, you mentioned His Majesty's coronation, and I believe I actually said 1935. So excuse the eye and appreciate you for, you know, go ahead, yes, throw that in there. Yes, his coronation was 1930. I want to apologize. Or Yerkurta, excuse I. You know what I mean? Baruch, but blessed be He for mentioning that. You understand? Right here we have His Majesty, with His Majesty's holding His hand. Now, if you want to look at this in the way, is the Father holding the book. Remember the book of the seven seals, or the book that will be held. Now, in His hand, with in interpretation, be like the staff. Now, interesting enough, you may have to go to this picture, because if you look in the middle of the picture, it looks like a woman, right, who's basically grinding a millstone in the middle of this microphone, right? It looks like she's basically pouring something out of the millstone, and then there's like a white string that comes off behind it, which is like the water, or it's like the liquid. You understand? So you have the Son, the Mother, and the Father. You have the liquid which is being poured out. You understand? And if you know, she's inside of a circle, or inside of like a type of orbit in a way. So you have the outermost, which is like a shadow of the outermost, which is the outer limit, and then you have the inner, you have the Mother, and inside the Mother, what she's pouring out is the water, which waters the earth, the soil, which brings about man, a man. Now this is just one aspect, one way of looking at it. You understand? One aspect, excuse I didn't mean to do that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't mean to do that. My apologies. But yes, you get a glimpse at that. You understand? Now go and look up, if you go and look up Ethiopian woman. Ethiopian woman, matter of fact, let's go do that right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, this is a lot better. A little zoom in, right? We need that. So forgive I camera might be a little bit, you understand? But oh, your overs. We want to go and look at, if you go and look up an Ethiopian woman grinding a millstone, there's something very interesting that on the Google image that will pop up. Okay? And what you will find is that if you go and Google an Ethiopian woman grinding a millstone, you might just have to go and put in a regular woman grinding a millstone, because what they do is they seek to make fun of Ethiopian, basically deter someone away from the God particle. And what they try to do is degrade the sisters and brothers. Now, because you remember, in there one time in the Time magazine, like the Time magazine, where they were showing the breastfeeding. The child was breastfeeding on the mother, and it was so blasphemous. But you know it was blasphemous because you're not supposed to see a kid in his mother's milk. First of all, how old was the boy? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, how old was the boy? He was breastfeeding the boy too. He's 4. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? But like we were saying, until he was 13 or something like that, right? But it was just a sick sight. So anyhow, when we go to, basically we go to image here. And what we want to do is we put in here an Ethiopian woman, right? We're going to put an Ethiopian, right? It might be in there from yesterday or something like that. Ethiopian woman grinding, right? Woman, right? Grinding. Basically, hold on. Let's see. Grinding a millstone. Who knows what they might put in there? You put Ethiopian woman grinding, right? They put something very perverted. Ethiopian woman grinding a what? A millstone. You know what I'm saying? A millstone. You understand? We probably in the wrong. Are we in the wrong place? We said Google image. Forgive us. You're correct. But like we were saying, we were going over the Nebercha and being the outermost, and we were basically identifying the Bemeja Melda and the Mejo, which is the father and the mother interchangeably grinding the upper millstone. And what you seen right there was Maui Haile Selassie. Now, what the interesting thing is, let's see what His Majesty was actually doing in that picture, which is very interesting. Now, understand something, young brothers and young sisters, young brothers, Alma people, so-called Christians, you know, let me plead with you, Ami, you know what I'm saying? Say to your sister, Ruama, you know what I'm saying? Say to your brother, you know, Aki, Ami, you know what I mean? Akot, Ruama, you know what I'm saying? And basically with love, too, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Ruama's like with love, Akoti, Iti, Ihati, you know what I mean? Plead with them. This is Christ. This is Christ. You know what I'm saying? Understand Christ and His fatherly manifestation. The reason that you're not able to perceive that is because you're not allowing your education to extend outside of your gravitational realm. Okay? And there's a difference between, you know, what some would call gravity. Now, gravity, what you need to understand about gravity, because I had basically went over all of this. So much was pouring in the eye, and the Holy Spirit was like, look, tell them this and tell them that. And I was like, wait, well, you know, at once I can't gorge. Because, you know, if one gorges, his stomach gets full, it starts to hurt, and then he's overwhelmed with himself to the point where he can't even get it out. There's so much you want to say to where he paced in a circle. You don't want to do that. Just take it piece by piece, right? Because there's so much to say. But Jah willing, Yah willing, it will come out. Now, the interesting thing is that what we get into is gravity. There's a difference between gravity and going out towards the outermost. Now, if your mind is in the gravitational pool and you fall for the bullshit gravity theory, you're basically, their realm is basically the inner earth. Now, what is inside of the inner earth? Now, that's not to say that the earth is bad or anything, because remember that Jah created the earth is the soil. But basically, you're on the natural base, or you're on the natural, you haven't reached out to the outer realm, which is the heaven. And then even farther than that, because some of you stay on the goddess or the diva worship and go even out to the outermost or the outer limit or the Nebercha or the Lord of the limit or the shadow or the ET or the ETH or the shadow which created the light, the heat, right? The light, the heat, and atmosphere. Atmosphere, which is the God Shu. Light, heat, and atmosphere, which is the God Shu. And afterwards, which is Tefnu. Tefnu, which is the goddess of moisture and humidity. Go ahead and write that down and go back, write that down. That's very important information. That's ancient, what they call Egyptology. Now, that's to the outermost. Now, what do they say about that? What do they say about that when they're speaking about that? You understand? What they say about that when they're speaking about that, that goes back to the blue and white Nile religion, or the beginning of what they call religion itself, which is the first implication of any religion, which comes out of the blue and white Nile river valley, right? Am I mistaken? Why not said that correctly? But it's the truth, okay? Now, where is that at? That's, where that's located at, right? In Africa, or in the land, or what goeth out of forth out of the Garden of Eden, and then we have the four rivers in the beginning, right? One is the Havilah, the Pishon, which compass the whole land of Ethiopia, which is in Genesis 2:13, right? Interesting enough, now we have the ETH, the God particle, which Wyndham Yadon Raza Yadonis Teferi on YouTube.com, Rastafari Sabbatical. That's a double B in thick, as in THIC, because I get thick in the Shabbat. Now, what we'll check here is that what we see here is that, not check, but you know what I'm saying, we'll observe, or shama, or hear, or vision of our Abba Tachin, and look at that crown on his head. His whole symbology. It's so beautiful how he holds the midah, which is his measurement. Midah kebel in the Hebrew, his measurement, and the kebel, which is his, basically, it's Tzion, a Tzion. Who is Tzion? Tzion is I and I, is we are Tzion, or Zion, a Tzion. That was one comment about mucus, talking about what other than there is to do than rid all the mucus out of your body. Now, according to what you're saying, basically, that is, if we put that in basic scientific interpretation, you're wrong. And if I have to, I'll do a whole, if you want I and I to do a vid on that, but that's just correcting the brethren who said that, something about ridding the body of mucus. Because if you study the etia, or the ETH, or the God particle, and you start to study that, and then you go look up in a dictionary moisture and humidity, and then you understand the basically it tells you about the whole body function, the shadow layer, the black skin, or what is the melanin, and then you have what is known as the mucus area. You have the mucus area, which is the protective layer. You understand? You have the mucus area, which is known as the protective layer. The mucus, when you go look up mucus in the Webster's Dictionary, it is not even mentioned as anything of sickness, like some would say when they're spitting up or coughing, or what they call mucus, but really which is bacterial, or it's really it's bad mucus. You understand what I'm saying? Because once it's to make a difference between mucus, good mucus, and bad mucus, because some think that mucus is what causes the body to swell, but that in fact, if you study the scripture and then you study, you look at some ancient Egyptology, see, that's what we keep talking about, science, about God science, and about them stealing fire from the God, because we have the beginning sciences, which they instrument in the harmonizing, or the song of true science. You understand what I'm saying? But if you take the co-opted, which has been co-opted by man, or the natural, or the what happened with the water, you understand, or the serpent, you understand, or the serpent, the people, or what happened to the earth, or the natural man, and how he basically was dumbed down to the dumber level, if you understand what I'm saying, because he went from the shadow level to the heaven level, and then just to the straight up dumb level. And what they try to do, gravity means, is basically to reel you into a center, not from the outer part though. Check it out. Not from the outer part, or even, yes, from the outer part, try to reel you into the center of chaos. That's what basically gravity means. Go look up gravity, and then go look up humidity. Go look up moisture, and then go look up the word mucus even. You know what I'm saying? Because they all work. We have the outer layer, which is shadow, we have the melanin, and then we have the heaven layer, which is the interceding, the mucus, known as the mother, and then also which we have the shadow layer, which is the father, the light and the heat, the father, the shadow, right, and then the light, the sun, and then we have the heat, which is the father again as himself. Because remember, he is the triune, which is all three, and then we have atmosphere, which is the mother. Now that's looking into the book by Yosef ben Jochanan, We the Black Jews, and then Witness to the White Jews myth. Now this is for all the Hebrew people, the black and brown and yellow and yellowish Hebrew people, and our good white Gentiles, our Rastafari brothers and sisters in spirit and truth, wedded, beloved, loved, or tzedek wedded. You understand? Some say it's die or wadada. You know what I'm saying? But basically, if we look at His Majesty right here, and in the middle of that, and you look at the circle, which would probably represent, is more the representation of the outer layer. Now, we're looking at the microphone. Where His fist is at, and up above the circle, which is the outer layer, the inner layer, which is the woman. If you look at it, it looks like she's grinding a millstone, because there's a circle in the middle. Now, out of it is what they call milk and honey. Milk and honey, because then you get the vision of the celestial vision of what they call milk and honey. And this is just a vision of what is basically explained in on the Bercha, when the Bercha says. Now let's go back to when the Bercha says. Now notice how the Father has the book. Because remember, there's that one who can look at the book, and He is Jah, manifest in the flesh, and that is Him. Yes, there is one that can open the 7 seals, Revelation 5:5. It is Him, His imperial majesty, and His beautiful crown above His head. Now, if you look in the flag, there was a brother who had mentioned about Beta Israel being the copper area, and basically that the red people being the Americanos and Cubanos and Dominicanos and many other mixtures, and some Sidonians even, Zebulun. And there's mixtures that basically link these through the hieroglyphs, the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, because we have what they call the horoscopes of the new type of European or classical Roman or Julio-Claudio dynasty type Khazarian or white type horoscopes that they have now, which are basically some truth in it, but mostly degrading or co-opted astronomy. You know what I'm saying? So, and astrology. You understand? But basically, when looking at His Majesty and His beautiful crown, and then you look at the flag of Yehuda or the flag of Judah, and you see the crown is in that area, that layer of green. Now you have that green, and then you have the yellow and the red area, and the crown and the gold and the green. What would that make? That will make the blue area, and then you get the heavenly aspect in it, or the motherly aspect as part of it. You have the yellow area, which is represented as you can even say the mucus area, and then you have the spirit or the blood or man. Remember, it was ruddy or reddish brown, or the man or the ruddy, the area, not blood or rosy red, not rosy red. We don't do rosy red. You know what I'm saying? Not that rosy red, but if there is a rosy red, if there is that color area, it's after the ruddy brown area. You understand? Because there's the order. Now, if we look at the whole order, now look at the ruddy brown area, right? Because the yellow area is the protective mucus layer. Now, hold on. When we get in the whole thing about the yellow area being a whole protective mucus layer, and it is part of the heavenly area, right before the shadow or the skin or the ET or the ET, the melanin area. You understand? Now, it's just a breakdown, just a small breakdown, you understand, of before we get into exactly what is being said in this. You understand what is being said in this right here, when the Bercher, he basically says, right, there was no heaven, no earth, no serpents. Now look at the order. He says there was no heaven, because there was Him, the shadow limit, right? And then there was no earth, right, which is the soil, right, which is represented. This is the mother, and then there's man. You understand? The mother, which is the heaven, which is air first, and then we have, now, where do we get that order? We get that order from down here. Pay attention. Now, but let's read this real quick. There was no heaven, no earth, no serpents or reptiles. All of these I produced out of the primeval mass of water of Menu, which is interesting. I spoke a word that controlled my mind. Now, this is the Bercha, the outermost, right? The shadow, the outer limit area. Thus said, or the true outer limit, or the righteous outer limit. Thus said the foundation, not the chaotic outer limit, which would be probably the land in what they call the Sheol or Hades, which is the inner part. The inner part, you understand? The inner, or going towards the center, not towards the outer, but the center, which is gravity. Now, I spoke a word that controls. Now, gravity is going towards the center. I hope you understand that quick. Gravity is going towards the center. It's not the Eti or the Ethiopia or the Eti or the Eti, the God particle, which is the outermost. You understand? Because it is the the surrounding layer, right, the outermost before the mucus, which is heaven. You know what I'm saying? The mucus area or the yellow area. You know what I'm saying? What they would call the yellow, really the blue or the semi-yawi area, because it's the gold and the green area. You know what I'm saying? And another representation of the woman, because of Tefa. Tefa, the interesting thing is if you go look up an Ethiopian woman grinding millstone, what they'll give you is, we'll go look into that one second, because we really wanted to get over into that. There was so much that was pouring in from the Spirit. I spoke a word that controlled my mind, right? Thus, got foundations. Here we go. So the foundation starts with the mind, your crown, right? The outermost area, and then we go to your mind, which is your soul, right? That became, right, the basis, right? The basis, now the base, the foundation, basis, the basis, or basically the foundation that became basically the man, or spoke man being about, because you have the outermost, which was the spirit, right? Which he spoke. I spoke a word which is the light. Remember that the word is the light, because he was all three first. That controlled what? My mind, my soul, right? So I spoke from the spirit which controlled my soul, right? Thus set the foundation. The foundation where we have rock, or the stone that the builders refused will always be the head cornerstone. You know that song by Bob Marley, right? You should go learn that. Foundation, that because the basis, right, that became the basis, right, man, of all that I created, right, from that time forward. I was with myself. Now, this is the Burchard. He says, now this is something very interesting. I remember I was reading, this is beautiful, so interesting, and opens up so much. He says, it was with myself. Now, you have the triune. Let's get the triune God out. He says it's him, the shadow, right? And he says, I was with myself. He said, there was neither Shu nor Tefnu, right? Shu or Yahshua, right? And then Tefnu as in Maryam, Bemeja Maria. You see, you get it? Mejo being the milestone that was being grinded by the upper milestone that's being grinded, what they say, by the woman. You know what I'm saying? And you have the sower, or the tying back, the father, which is religion is stated. So religion is very much so important. So it just goes to give you the whole foundation, the triune aspect, how religion and spirituality are both in one the same. You know what I'm saying? Tawa'id, though, because they all should connect together. Mainly, if you're able to act it out spiritually, you should be able to act it out in court. You know what I'm saying? Fighting for your rights, never sitting down, standing up for what's righteous and what has already been made law by what we are currently looking at right now, and which is explained in the scriptures. Now, he says, set the basis, right? He says there was neither Shu, Yahshua, right, nor Shu, nor Tefnu. Now, what is Shu and Tefnu represented as in the higher, basically, the higher manifestation, or the particle, or some of the particle manifestation? What is Shu and Tefnu? He said, he did not create yet. You know what I'm saying? It was just him, the Burcher. It was just him himself. I alone, right, set the basis in mind. Right? I alone set the basis in mind, the creation of all other things that they later made. Also, right, also of which they caused to be materialized. Remember that we were talking about they caused the word to be materialized, so they missed the ETH, or they missed the et, the God particle, the Ethiopian particle. They missed the whole thing because they called the word to be materialized. Now, what is the world? What is worldly? Worldly is basically dealing with material things, things of the world, things that are worldly. Not of this world, which the God of this world deals with, is not of this world. You understand? So we have not of this world. So if you're not of this world, you're not of the materialized thought. You understand? So you don't bring things to be materialized, right? So through birth, right, which they call to be materialized through birth, I, with my own shadow, it's a shadow, right, produce my offspring, right, shadow, right, God's Shu. Now, who is Yahshu? Yahshu, God's Shu, represents light, Yehoshua HaMashiach, and heat, the burning, or Tzur, and then we have Salah. Remember in the Hebrew, we're going over Salah. We have Tzur, which is one rock, and then we have Salah, which is the second rock, right? which is not to be smitten. Remember, Tzor was already smitten. Remember how Yahushua HaMashiach had gave his life already, and then he comes back as the King of Kings, the heat, which is that light burning infinitely, and that's forever, right? And atmosphere. So it basically is, if one would say, some say, what they would call some Yamariam it. Notice Mariam iti. Mariam iti is in Yamariam, Yahweh, right? And then Maria, as in, remember we were going over Maria, the Anus, Maria iti, which is like sister, and you get the motherly aspect too. So Yamariam it, which is really the more of the pronunciation of marijuana, righteously, right? More going back, and from it's related from its origination or original Ethiopic dialect, right? Or language, lingua, right? That basically it says here that, and then you said it's light, heat, and atmosphere. So we have shadow, which is the Nebercher, right? Who created the god Shu? Now Shu is represented as light, heat, and atmosphere, and it says and goddess Tefnu. Who is Tefnu? Moisture and humidity. Remember, I was telling you to go look up moisture and humidity, and that this is the heavenly realm. But understand that the god Shu was all three, or when he created the god Shu, because the shadow was all three. So you have the god Shu, which was light, heat, and then atmosphere. Atmosphere, which is air. Now remember, we were going over that Diamone video. You understand? We'll go back over that, and we'll show you how they basically corrupted their own the elements and confused themselves, and have started basically going towards the force which issues gravity. That is not this force right here. We don't issue gravity. We issue going out or freeing the mind to the outermost, not basically materializing the mind or bringing the mind to a gravitational pull within being materialized or worldly thought. You understand? So that's when we understand this, and we see the God is Tefnu, which is moisture and humidity. From one God, right, it says, I became three gods. Now, mentioned here is the shadow, which is Shu, which is the light and the heat, right? Now, Yahushua HaMashiach being the light. Now, notice the name is Shu, like Yahshua or Shua, Shua, and out of Shua, Shalom, Salah, Hyla, Salah, Shua, Hoshea, Yasu, or the Savior, right? And then the light, which is light, and then you have heat. Heat is what keeps it going, which is already that which is burning. Now, I remember that we mentioned that when Hussein was told he's not to smite the rock twice. So that means that wandering twice is not an option. You'll be destroyed. We're not to wander this next 40. But anyhow, what we'll do is we're going to pause there for the cause, and we're going to take a Yamarim It break. In the name of the Yahushua HaMashiach and the Kedamawi Haile Selassie, Beruku, Mamain, and Amen.